Shalom, shalom. I'm going to start off by saying, Call halal yamla, Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakwadash. I just to give all praises to the Heavenly Father in the name of His only begotten Son, also in the name of the Holy Spirit in the Paleo Hebrew. I also want to give a double honor to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, whom I learned the truth from. Greetings, salutations to all you Akins out there that are doing the work of sincerity and truth. And, we're back at it, man, prophesying the downfall of this kingdom, the downfall of the so-called white man's grip on the world, okay? Because, these devils were given the mantle of the planet, right? And they've done a terrible job at administering the planet. They've done a terrible job, right, at ruling the world, okay? Let me start with this. Scriptures say this, right? Salaki, let me get to... Proverbs chapter 20, 29 and 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked beareth rule, the people mourn. Okay? So, this man, excuse me, this man does not care about his subtuigence. Okay? This man is a ruler that does not care about the people he rules. How can you have a kingdom without subjects? Okay? You have to care for your subjects. That's the whole point of a leader. A leader, leads the people towards better, not towards worse. But we have an unprofitable leader, man. Ever since his inception, all he's done is steal, rob, murder, pillage, lie, and so forth, and the list goes on. That's why the scriptures say that his sins have reached up to the heavens. Okay? What does that mean? It means that he's pretty much gone way above and beyond what was deemed possible in wickedness, man. Okay? He's way past what was prescribed for wickedness. Esau, Edom, man, so-called white man. Okay? Who the Lord hates, who the Lord detests. Okay? And that's just the fact. What's going on, man? All right, great. All right, yep. See, we pound the devil's hand, whatever, But the reason why is because the scriptures say that the word of the Heavenly Father is sharper than a double-edged sword. So it cuts to the deepest parts of the spirit, including these damn devils, man. Whenever they hear the word of the Lord, they're so demonic that it just riles them up. That vibration just riles up every little molecule in their wicked ass bodies, man. So like I was saying, this man, the whole world is looking forward to a righteous ruler. One that is profitable, as the scriptures say. Let me grab that right quick. This is Ecclesiasticus 10 and 4. It says, the power of the earth is in the hand of the Lord, and in due time he will set over it one that is profitable. Why does the scriptures have the need to say that? Because as Job 9 and 24 tells us, the earth was given into the hand of the wicked. If not, where and who is he? And he even asks you, if not, where and who is he? Who is the only person that is the man of sin, man? The only person that is against everything the Bible stands for. Okay? The only entity, the only race of people that is against everything the Bible stands for. Esau, Edom. The Lord tells you that if a man sleeps with another man, that is an abomination. Well, the devil will tell you that, that's okay. The scriptures say that a man will be with a woman until they die. Well, what does the devil tell women? That no, it's okay for you to leave your husbands. It's okay for you to commit adultery. That's not a sin. That's not a sin worthy of death. It's okay for you to be lawless. You know, walk around halfway naked, man. That's what the devil will tell you. That's what they push for. As the scriptures say, the turning of things upside down, man. He turned everything that is good, turned it to bad. Okay? That's not profitable for the world, man. You know, we nowadays we have the mortality rate, you know, never mind the fact that the death age came down. People are supposed to die around 70. Now people are dropping dead at 40, right? But um, that's all due because of that chronic stress. You know, that those hormones that get produced that inflames your body, man, because of that chronic stress. Stress will kill you, man. That's the number one driver of diseases. Stress. You know, and this world is full of stress. Why? Because we got an unprofitable ruler, a man that has turned everything the Lord said was good, turn it into evil. And they want to call themselves a God-fearing nation, but who is their God, right? If you're a God-fearing nation, the first thing you do is you implement the law, statutes, and commandments, because you would understand that the law, statutes, and commandments were written for the well-being of the people, like things like thou shalt not eat swine, thou shalt not eat bottom feeders. Those things are like common sense. You eat swine, the pork, right, can digest things. It's a dirty animal. It's a filthy animal. It was created for a purpose. But this devil will push, right, that it's okay for you to go eat pork. That's acceptable. These gooks love the pork fried rice, and so forth. And then they will feed our people right here, who are wicked as all hell, right? Who are the children of Satan. A lot of them are the children of Satan, man. The Lord even called them that. He said, "Ye are of your father the devil." Okay, he was a murderer from the beginning and abode not in truth. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, right? You know, right? So, anyways, changing gears a little bit, because we have all these riots going on in Minnesota. You got this dude Jake Lang or whatever. Stirring up shit. These race wars is getting on throughout the country. Which is all biblical prophecy, man. It's good to say that a neighbor shall rise up against neighbor. Let me grab that. This is 2nd Ezra chapter 15 and 19. It says, "A man shall have no pity upon his neighbor, but shall destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation." Right? And that all sums up, because you have to understand that this war that this orange buffoon clown got America into, right, is going to hit home eventually. How is it going to hit home? Well, because your diesel prices are going to go through the roof. Well, the average Joe doesn't understand that America has what's called a strategic petroleum reserve. And that's what they're tapping into at the moment. Why? Because the Strait of Hormuz have been blocked for months. Okay? And these oil tankers, they take months to get to point A to point B. So Europe is getting the blunt right now, right? But America's, the U.S. mainland is going to get it next. And that's going to cause a lack of bread, because the U.S. is a big importer, right? Everything is imported. Most goods are imported. You look at the back of your shirt, it'll probably say made in China, made in Taiwan, made in this. Your iPhones, and not to mention all these technologies, including the AI, they need helium to make these chips. Okay, look that up. That's a critical component of chip making, helium. okay, and which is
David Koresh.
yep, which is a oil derivative. It's a oil byproduct, fossil fuel byproduct. Okay, your what else? Your plastic. You know that's oil. That comes from oil essentially. You know, petroleum jelly. Your and so forth. Bottom line is everything is exported. America produces very little anymore. So if these countries' GDP, wait for this crap to go by. If these countries' GDPs get hurt, guess what? The American GDP is going to get hurt. The gross domestic product, which is the what the country produces as a whole, right? So if another country's GDP is down, and we get all our shit from that country, by default, our GDP is going to go down. Because guess what? If you have a worker from Sweet Green, right, and Sweet Green can't get the materials for them to work, they ain't gonna be working in Sweet Green, man. People are gonna start getting cut off. People's hours are gonna start to get cut, clipped. You know, they're gonna start getting rid of some employees. Same thing with Chipotle. All these fast food chains. Same thing with any industry. You know, they're gonna start laying people off. Then that's called a great economic recession. As a matter of fact, you have to look at what this orange clown said, right? He said he don't want to be the next Herbert Hoover, right? You look at Hoover, his presidency, he was in power when the Great Recession went down, man, in the 1930s, okay? And the orange buffoon said the same thing. He don't want to be him because that's what we're getting. That's what we're heading to, man. You know, once the strategic petroleum reserves come down. Now, I read that they don't even have to hit 0 barrels of oil, right? In these strategic oil reserves. Let me grab something here. So the U.S. strategic, this is in Google, right? The SPR holds 293.4 million barrels of crude oil, representing roughly 41.1% of its 714 million barrel total capacity. So goddamn, so it's so it went from 714 million way down to 293 right as current, right? Inventory levels dropped by about 5.3 million barrels over the last reported week, continuing ongoing drawdowns. So current volume 293. Now I read, if you look here, that where these petroleum reserves are at, they're not above ground. They're underground facilities. And I forgot the state that it was. Y'all can look it up. But the bottom point is that these underground facilities are so used to having such an amount that when you take all that oil out, it changes the pressure. So it doesn't have the SPR doesn't have to go to 0. Just at 174 million barrels of oil, the whole thing can cave in. So America can't go past 174 million barrels of oil. So so right now we're at 293, soon bound to 174 million barrels of oil. So when that happens, get ready to see your diesel prices at $10 a barrel, at $10 a gallon, man. Okay? Now these people don't believe it because again, the orange buffoon, he's making a great deal of manipulating the markets every time he comes. Because you see, you gotta understand something, right? The stock market is based on speculation, man. So whenever this dude comes out and says, "Yeah, we're closer to a deal," or so forth, guess what? That prompts the markets and the investments to start rolling in. But then when Iran comes out and says, "What the fuck you talking about, man?" You know, start dropping a bomb here, start dropping a drone there. Guess what? The markets do a 360. It's all based on speculation. And then he injects more of the oil from the SPR and sells oil to Europe from the SPR because the Europeans are fucked up because of this war with Ukraine and Russia, because Russia is one of the world leading diesel exporters. So the Europeans are committing economic suicide by going in a front war with Russia, right? So now America got to front them. Same thing with Japan, right? The Japanese just got a serious economic hit. So you have to have Bessent, right? The head of the Treasury Department of the U.S., right? Scott Bessent, send over a care package to Japan to prevent their whole economy from collapsing. Because if that happens, that means that the dollar, right, will also take a huge hit. But see, the thing is that these devils, they wanna crash the dollar, man. That's really what they want to do. Because guess what? They want to usher in this new world order, okay? Which the new world order is going to consist of all you people getting chipped, man, getting a microchip in your right hand or your forearm, presuming to Revelation the 13th chapter. Because you ask yourself, why in the hell would they do all this? Are they stupid, right? It sounds stupid, right? Going to war with Iran, going to war with Russia. It sounds stupid, right? Why would they do this, knowing that what holds up the dollar is the GCC countries, right? The fact that Nixon, right, after he took us off the gold standard, right? The dollar became fiat currency, which is only propped up by the petrodollar, right? So the petrodollar is actually held up by the Gulf Arab states, and the pact that they have that they'll sell their oils in dollars, and the profit that they get from those sales, excuse me, will be then recycled in the U.S. bond market. Okay, that is the petrodollar, right? So why would you go to war with a nation that can obliterate your basically the only piece of tape that's holding up your dollar, man? That makes no absolute goddamn sense. You know, Kuwait got absolutely hammered, pummeled by Iranian missiles because they're just better, right? The Saudis are getting pummeled by the Yemenis. It's a goddamn mess, man. This devil is losing. Why? Because of the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. That's what scriptures say. Okay, presuming of the book of Obadiah, the pride of thine heart, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rock. Matter of fact, let me just grab that, right? Now that we looked at the SPR, y'all can look into SPR because shit's getting ready to hit the fan, man. When those strategic oil reserves are empty, the straits hasn't been opened, you're gonna have a world economic recession, man, and it's gonna hit home. You people are gonna be running around like chickens with your head cut off, man, and you think it's all goddamn fun and games, you know? But that's that's good for y'all, man. That's what y'all get, man. Let me grab this, right? The pride of thine heart, right? This is Obadiah chapter 1 and 3. It says, I'm going to start at 1 actually. The vision of Obadiah, thus saith the Lord power concerning Edom. Now, Edom is the so-called white race, all right? The word Edom is a Hebrew word, Adawam, which means red, okay? We have heard a rumor from the Lord, and an ambassador is sent among the heathen, okay? Arise ye, and let us rise up against her in battle. Behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. And they are greatly despised, man. Nobody hates the damn devil, man. The great Satan, man. Nobody, all throughout the planet, everybody's hip to what this man is doing. He's a thief, man. Look what he did to Venezuela. You know, this devil outright admitted he wanted to steal his oil, and they stole the gold, millions and tons of millions of gold from Venezuela. Outright stole this shit. And they were trying to do the same with Iran, but the Lord is taking the power away from them, so they ain't gonna be able to do it. And this is gonna also, which we already are in the Third World War, but this is gonna further escalate this Third World War. It says, verse 3, this is the point. The pride of thine heart has deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, whose habitation is high, right? That said in his heart, who shall bring me down to the ground? Though thou exalt thyself as the eagle, right? So this devil thinks that he's unbeatable. He thinks he's the great power of the American military, the great might, right? Meanwhile, y'all can't even go into the straits without your boats being sunk. You know, look what happened to the Abraham Lincoln, the USS Boxer, right? All these warships are in terrible shape. Now they're sending the USS George Bush to do what? To do what? You can't do nothing. Because guess what? If you come close enough to Iran, you're going to get the Alpha Tattoo on your ass, and your boats are going to be sunk, right? So to do what? Your empire's crumbling, man. Nero, right? Y'all got to do the history, man. Look up Nero, man. That's why the head apostle, especially the Apostle Hart, deemed him Nero, because it goddamn right. You know, his empire is burning, right? And he's just sitting back and watching. Basically, he's burning up his empire, man. You know, the U.S. is losing the hegemony, or it has lost. Actually, I'm going to say that it's lost its hegemony on the world. Okay, this is the power of Satan. Okay, but going back to that pride that blinds them, you know, that pride that tells you, yeah, when in reality, man, when you look at the history of the U.S. Military, it hasn't won a single goddamn war since the Second World War, man. Afghanistan failure, Iraq failure. Let's see. I think you can possibly say there was a war, the war in Libya. Yeah, the war in Libya. They toppled Saddam, Gaddafi. They toppled Gaddafi. You could say that they went in and they cost it, but it wasn't a real war against a real professional army. You know, Vietnam, another failure, right? You can drop bombs all day long. The way you win a war is two ways, right? Either forced capitulation, or you clearly met your military objectives. The U.S. has not met a single goddamn objective in Iran. Didn't do it in Vietnam. Didn't do it in North Korea. The Korean War was an absolute failure. Absolute fucking failure. Right? So when you look at this war, it's a lost situation for the U.S. Lost situation. They failed to topple the Iranian government. Now there's an extra added objective, which wasn't there before the war, which is the Strait of Hormuz. Now it's blocked, right? Now you also have Iran being stronger, because now Iran is the actual how do you call that, victim in this shit, right? Because they're now a victim of what's called a war of aggression, which is what they hung the Nazis for in Nuremberg. Look at the Nuremberg trials, man. Why did they hang the Nazis? You know, there's a good movie that depicts this dude. I think Russell Crowe plays this dude Hermann Goering. Hermann Goering, who was the German head of the Luftwaffe. Okay, look up that movie, man. You know, they hung Hermann Goering, man, and the main charge was because of a war of aggression. That was the main charge, which is what America's committed: war of aggression. You're going into an unprovoked war, right? And but you see the same white man that was in the 1400s. He's the same white man today. The same antics. You go, you demonize a people. You say these people are savages. These people are savages, and that's your excuse to go and civilize them, right? Colonize them, right? And that's what you do, right? But now you're getting your ass kicked. You know what I'm saying? Because that ain't gonna work no more, man. You can't always be the bully without having the whole playground team up on you. You can't go about throwing things up and not expect it to come down, man. You have China, you have BRICS. They're stepping away from the dollar. So guess what? Your dollar's crumbling. And then they're gonna try to chip you. Like we said, going back to Revelation, the 13th chapter. Because you ask yourself, why were these elites, especially the international bankers, okay? Because that's who run the world, not these damn little fiat Edomites, these little fiat white people that roam around. This is just basic shit. The people that rule the world, that starting with the Rothschild family on down, why would they fund this side of the war? Why would they want to cripple the dollar, right? Understand something. Isaiah the 14th chapter, which I read a lot, because it goes right into the point, man. It goes right into the point. Let me grab it. Isaiah 14, right? This is Isaiah 14, and let me start verse 13. I'm actually let's start at verse 10. Isaiah 14 and 10. It says, all they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? And that's exactly what Iran have said. Are you look at you, man. You know, fuck you, America. That's what Iran is saying, man. You can't fuck with us. Right? Now now you're weak like us, a third-rate army. What was quote unquote a third-rate army, right? So this is that prophecy coming to pass, right? It says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee, meaning that their empire is getting ready to die. Okay? It says, verse 12, how art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? Lucifer, the word Lucifer means light bearer. They are the light bearers. They know the truth, man. Starting from the elites, the Rothschilds on down, they understand the truth. Okay? It says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. And that's why they want to usher in the a new Novus Ordum Seclorum, Annuit Coeptis. This is our concept, right? New World Order, right? Which in turn means everybody will be under one world currency. This is the reason for all these wars, because all these wars are set up to usher in that enterprise. Okay? Thy pomp is brought down to the grave. Now, going back to that pride, right? That they're unbeatable. You know, nobody can beat them, and so bunch of bullshit, right? It says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise of thy vows, the worm is spread under thee, and the worms cover thee. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which did weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars, right, of the Most High. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregations in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness, and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, everyone in his own house. But thou art cast out of thy grave like an abominable branch, as the raiment of those that are slain, thrust through with a sword, that go down to the stones of the pit, as a carcass trodden under feet. You see? And that drives the point home. That drives the point home. You know? That the Lord's going to cause this devil's kingdom to collapse, man. Let me get when he's about to fill his belly. This is Job chapter 20, 23. When he's about, let me see, I'm gonna start at 20 actually. Job chapter 20 and verse 20. Surely he shall not feel quietness in his belly. Okay? He shall not save of that which he desired. There shall none of his meat be left. Therefore shall no man look for his goods. In the fullness of his sufficiency he shall be in straits. Every hand of the wicked shall come upon him. When he's about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he's eating. He shall flee from the iron weapon, and the bow of steel shall strike him through. It is drawn and cometh out of the body, yea, the glittering sword cometh out of his gall. Terrors are upon him. All darkness shall be hid in his secret places. A fire not blown shall consume him. It shall go ill with him that is left in his tabernacle. And that sums up a lot, man. What is that glittering sword? What is that a fire that shall consume? That's talking about them nuclear missiles, them ICBM nuclear missiles. Okay, when he's about to fill his belly in the fullness of his sufficiency, meaning when he's about to finish up his enterprise, when he's about to come out with this chip, when he's about to think he's gonna have the whole world in subjection, everybody a perpetual slave of the bankers. That's when the Lord's gonna come back, and eventually that's when this place is gonna get nuked, because this is the hammer that these elites use to subdue people. This is what Iran's all about, man. This is what the front with Russia is all about, because them Russians are. That's where the land of Gog and Magog are, man. Ezekiel the 38th chapter, which we read a lot. That's the land of Gog and Magog, and the Lord's gonna be with them at a point to bring destruction to this place, man. To bring Mashapatnium, which means judgment, to this place, which it has a lot to pay for. There's a lot of judgment that got to come here for all the wickedness that goes out through the world, because all the wickedness that everybody else do is emulated after this place. Okay, so we're living upon good times, man. Let me grab this as well. This is Luke chapter 17 and 26. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise also as it was in the days of Lot. They did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day that Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Meaning when the Lord of the world, inwardly called Jesus Christ, is seen on them clouds, man, most people are going to get caught off guard, man. Because especially the average American, is only interested in going to work, their basic daily routine, their habitual routine that keeps them comfort. Some are more better off than others, but they feel fine going to work, coming home, wife, kids, whatever, and repeat. They have no consideration of what's happening abroad. They don't care about the world affairs. To them it don't matter as long as their lives is not interrupted, their daily lives. We saw this back in 2021 during the pandemic. During the pandemic, you know, these devils were they thought it was the end of the world, man. You know, and whenever they rolled out that C hit, that jab, right, that Punjab, right, everybody lined up quick in a hurry, man, because they were eager to return to their normalcy, for all the stores to be open, family gatherings and stuff like that and so forth. You just had the trials of Fauci. They brought this devil over to trial. These especially the Republicans. They're talking about he was lying. The COVID shit was all fake. It was all BS and so forth. You know, but at the end of the day, man, these devils lie about everything, every goddamn thing. All these diseases are out there. For the majority, the majority of them are man-made. HIV, Ebola, RSV, HPV. They're all man-made, bro. It's Esau, wicked E in a laboratory concocting some type of same thing with Lyme disease. I didn't know, but you have Lyme, Connecticut. Lyme, Connecticut. Why is it called Lyme, Connecticut? Because that was where the research facility was for these Nazis that came over to Connecticut to study biological warfare and Lyme disease. So they were creating ticks to release it to a population to basically off them, do great harm to them. That's why you have Lyme, Connecticut. And that's just Esau, man, the mad scientist. Again, an unprofitable, very unprofitable to the world, man. All this devil does is just basically, creates evil. Sit in a laboratory. Look what the Russians put out. I think I got that article, man. So 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 look at this shit, man, right? Because you're dealing with the devil, man. So it says there is no evidence, right, that Ukraine is conducting biological weapons research. That's bullshit, right? International bodies, independent scientists, and government watchdogs have thoroughly debunked Russian claims, right, of secret U.S.-funded biological weapons laboratories in Ukraine. What, man? The Russians wouldn't lie about no shit like this, man. Right? So it says treaty compliance. Both Ukraine and the United States are signatories to the 1972 Biological Weapons Convention, which bans the development or stockpiling of biological weapons. Russian disinformation. Russian state officials and military representatives launched these allegations during the 2022 invasion to justify military actions. Misrepresented routine work. Standard protocols, which is the routine destruction of dangerous pathogen samples at the start of a conflict to prevent them from falling into hostile hands, were falsely labeled as a cover-up of illegal activity. There, see that? See that? So I'm gonna read that again, right? Standard protocol, right? Such as the routine destruction of dangerous pathogens. So if you're not researching biological weapons, why would you have stored dangerous pathogens? Why don't you just outright destroy them? If they're lying, right? You see how they tangle themselves up, right? If the Russians are lying, right? You admit that whenever there's an invasion, You destroy dangerous pathogens. Why would you keep dangerous pathogens in the first place? The only explanation is you're doing some type of research. You're concocting some bullshit, man. So the Russians ain't lying about this shit, man. It says, it says, such as the routine destruction of dangerous pathogen samples at the start of a conflict to prevent them from falling into hostile hands were falsely labeled as a cover-up of illegal activities. UN stance. The United Nations Disarmament Office stated it has received no evidence that any biological weapons program exists in Ukraine. And, you know, of course, they're not gonna tell you there is, because that's so quote unquote illegal with the international courts. But you know, the ICC, the UN resolution, that's all garbage, man. The U.S. has proven that the world is engulfed in the what they call the law of the jungle, okay, which is basically whoever has the most nukes, whoever has the most military might, is the one that dictates around the world. Because guess what? They carried out a war of aggression. So it's back to the war of the jungle. So the UN Charter, and look at this devil, Bibi not a Jew, Benjamin not a Jew. Okay, look at that devil. That devil's responsible for more war crimes than Hitler and Stalin put together, man. Yo, this devil, Bibi not a Jew, is responsible for more war crimes than Mussolini, than Hitler, than everybody else, right? And he still hasn't gotten arrested. He comes to the U.S. all freely, to the White House all freely, and he's celebrating. Look at the current leader of Syria. The current leader of Syria, al-Sahidi, I forgot his fucking name, weird ass name. He was a head chopper, man. That was an ISIS. And I remember, man, back in 2015, ISIS, the great ISIS, that was a CIA-funded psyop, man. You goddamn devil, I can't wait till the Most High takes you devils down, man, because you devils are just causing a fucking ruckus on the planet, man. You know, the so-called white man's only causing a damn ruckus around the world, man. And people are tired of this shit, man. Like I read earlier, the people are mourning, man. Look what they're doing in Lebanon. They're ransacking, destroying all the trees in Lebanon by blocks. They're just wiping away the trees in Lebanon. When that's even in the scriptures. The cedars of Lebanon. Oh, actually, Isaiah 14. Isaiah 14. Yeah. Let me see. The cedars. Let me go to the point. Isaiah 14 and 8. It says, verse 5, the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. It says, he who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke, he that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. Yeah, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no fella is come up against us. Because it's these so-called these small hats, they are basically burning Lebanese forests by the tons, man. You know, you got this dude, like I said, this dude, Bibi not a Jew, right? He's responsible for war crime after war crime. Look what they did to the whole Panama invasion, which we know why that was. That was just to take over the Canal of Panama. You know, that's what it was about, man. Again, stealing of natural waterways, stealing of resources. That's what this devil does, man. Esau Edom. But we just read Isaiah 14. You know, when this devil's taken down, the trees are gonna rejoice. The world is gonna be at rest. No more white man. You know, it's gonna be a glorious day, man. There's gonna be no more wars. There's gonna be no more greed. This man's the book of Obadiah tells us he enlarges his desire as the grave. You know, can never be satisfied. He's never satiated. He's never content with anything, man. He wants more and more and more until he gobbles everything up, man. He's damn a parasite, man. You know, starting with the elites on down, man, even down to the smallest peon, man. You know, who are greedy as all hell. Capitalism is nothing more than greed. Bigger dog eats smaller dog, pretty much. That's what capitalism is. Okay, but yeah, man, I'm gonna leave it there, man. I have to cut it short today because I got, these devils have me working. But we hope and pray, man. Yahweh Shem Yahushai makes his return soon. We hope and pray for the downfall of this place, the downfall of this kingdom. You know, like the scriptures say, we look for a new heaven and a new earth wherein dwelleth righteousness. Because this is wicked as all hell. We're surrounded in wickedness. We're in a cesspool of wickedness. So we're gonna keep hoping and praying. That the Lord also has mercy on us. That He looks at our works, and that's what we come out here for, man. Every week, faithfully, Lord willing, He keeps the spirit in us to be coming out. So with that, I'm gonna say, all praise to Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakakudash, double honors to the elders and apostles, great millstone, whom I learned the truth from. Again, greetings, salutations to all you Watkins. To the next one, I'm gonna say Shalom, Abad Babal, Kwam Yeshuala.